we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Got a special treat for y'all and all y'all that followed us back in the day, man. Chris and Chris, we're back in the mix. I got my man Chris Kennedy in the house. If you guys don't know, I mean, a lot of people listened to us before, Chris. We did like, 150 shows together, something crazy like that in the past. My man Chris Kennedy, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, Shouse? It's been a long time coming. I think the last time that you and I got together was the playoffs last season. So, I mean, for the amount of content that you and I have done together pretty much since COVID, I'm excited for the show.
Oh, man, it's good to see you. Good to have you back on. I'm trying to get this guy to come back on a regular basis. He decides to retire and go golfing, but hey, you know, we all have our dreams. He wants to be in the PGA one day, I think. Hey, no, that's the plan.
I think maybe the senior tour. You know, now that I'm 40 years old, I don't think I have much chance on the actual tour. But no, I mean, yeah, I took a big step back. I'm still with Dr. Roto. I'm doing all of the rankings over there, still providing them over on Fantasy Pros. You know, but I'm definitely have taken this big step back from the amount of content that I've normally produced. So it's a nice little break, but I mean, we're getting closer to the season, Charles. I'm getting that itch.
Getting that itch. Start to scratch the itch. It's good. I love it. Training camp opened up. It's so good.
Dude, it's that good kind of itch, not that bad kind of itch.
No, yeah, you don't need the ointment for that kind of itch. It's the good one. But anyway, we'll kick this thing off around the NFL with some fantasy football touch because we got happy trails. We'll bring it back old school. Chris and Chris, we did this all the time, man. John Ross, wide receiver. He's retiring from the NFL. Okay, a lot of people are like, so what? Who cares? But, you know, when someone retires, we got to give them their due departing. And, I mean, 6 seasons in the NFL. Ross was best known for his blazing 40-time 4.22 at the NFL Combine back in 2017. Got him up to pick number 9 overall to those Cincinnati Bengals. He finishes his career 67 receptions for 957 and 11 touchdowns. So basically, in all that time, he only put up one really nice would-be season. I mean, happy trails, John Ross.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he'll always have that 40 time, right? So for somebody like Ross, had that speed. Unfortunately, I mean, 4 or 5 years in the league, never panned out, really never surpassed that wide receiver 3 status for the Bengals. Ended his career with the Giants. So happy trails, John Ross.
John Ross, see you later, buddy. But, you know, man, we got injuries galore, and we'll start there. Ooh. Training camp problems, and we all love training camp. I love training camp because, like Chris was saying, NFL is getting that much closer, but we saw Joey B go down today, man. Joe Burrow, he falls down. He was on a rollout, and he was wearing a sleeve on the calf, but the way that he was running, it almost appeared that he was, you know, his Achilles blew out, and I was all terrified. I'm like, holy smokes, this is the end of the season for these Cincinnati Bengals. But when you're talking about him having a calf strain, the coach Zach Taylor did say it was somewhat of a calf strain. He was wearing the compression sleeve on the calf, but he does get carted off, and now it's either week to week or month to month because depending on the severity of this injury, Joe Burrow could be out as short as 2 weeks to as long as a couple months. Like, this is absolutely terrible for the Cincinnati Bengals, who are on a Super Bowl, run for sure this year.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you and I talked about this a little bit earlier, before we came on, watching that video, when he went to the ground, he did immediately grab that calf. And so it does sound like it's more of a calf strain. How severe that strain is, we don't really know yet. But when you see a non-contact injury, the first thing you think of is ACL, Achilles, something like that, which is obviously season-ending. But for Burrow, he does have that, injury history already with the Bengals. So it's the scariest thing that you can think of. I don't think it's going to be as severe as what people think. There was a report that came out earlier where Jamar Chase said that Joe Burrow gave him a nod. It's a nod that they always give each other to kind of, signal that they're okay. So it sounds like Burrow will be okay. It's going to be a matter of how much time he is going to actually miss. Because right now, with the Bengals and that depth chart, Trevor Siemian being that backup quarterback, do you think, and I'm going to ask you this, Joust, do you think that Cincinnati, if Burrow's out for, let's say, more than 8 games, do they trade for a quarterback to really kind of fill in that first half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I really doubt they would, but I mean, you got to go with Siemian. I guess he's your backup plan at this point, unless if it's gonna be the diagnosis is gonna be for a couple months, then maybe they do go in that direction. Right. But man, this is just such a big blow. Like, these things linger in the season as well. It's not as if you can even say, if it's a mild strain, fine, but you get risk to re-injury on soft tissue injuries all the time. So you got to believe, man, if it's bad enough, maybe they shut him down for the rest of camp and just let him heal up into the season. Like, that's where you're getting. And they might start out of the gates slower than expected because, the chemistry building, obviously the camaraderie's there. They've been together for multiple years already. But, I mean, any kind of time lost, you're going to have some, stretches early on in the field that's not going to look, Cincinnati-esque that we're used to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And especially with injuries like this, it's going to take time for players to get back to their normal self. I don't want to compare positions here, but we see it with running backs all the time. They have an injury, whether it's an ACL and Achilles, and it takes them, even when they are back on the field, it could take them a whole half of a season, if not more, to actually start looking like their former self. Quarterbacks, of course, especially somebody like Joe Burrow, who isn't, as mobile as a lot of these other athletes, you still need to have that, that lower body strength in order to throw those balls that he's used to throwing.
100%, man. It's a big, devastating blow. Hopefully for the Bengals, it's not a huge one. You know what? I'll never cheer for injuries. You know me, Chris. We do not cheer for injuries no matter what. And the league is better with all the all-stars, with the Mahomes, the Burrows, the Allens. The league is just better with them. So you got to hope that he's not hurt for a long period of time because the football definitely will suffer. But we're also talking about other injuries. Jalen Ramsey, he gets carted off with a knee. And, I mean, it didn't look very good, man. He was covering Tyreek, and he rolled up, and they're saying it was not an ACL is what the reports I'm seeing right now. Looks like it could be a meniscus tear. They're still going to go for the MRI, I believe, tomorrow, and depending on severity there as well, if they have to remove the meniscus, it could be season-ending. If it's a cleanup process, he could be out till, even December is what I'm hearing. So, basically, the regular season for Jalen Ramsey could be over before it even started.
Which is tough. And, of course, you're going up against guarding one of the fastest players in the NFL in Tyreek Hill. And with Ramsey, I mean, he's just had such a great career. He's going to continue to have a great career, but it's such a blow to that defense because this is a team in Miami that is really up and coming. That's, one of the powerhouses in a much stronger AFC East now. It just puts so much more pressure on that defense without your top cornerback in the lineup.
100%. It's a huge blow. And I mean, with Ramsey, they look like they could be challenging every offense, especially in the AFC East. I mean, this division is no slouch anymore. Aaron Rodgers now, right? So the Jets are going to be piling it on, and Miami now without Jalen Ramsey, it's a huge loss. But we're talking those Jets as well. Garrett Wilson, he rolls his ankle today. He gets carted off, but they're saying it was just a roll-up. Hopefully it's a small tweak, not a high ankle sprain. But already we're seeing a lot of huge, talented stars dropping like flies, and we're only, 2-3 days into camp. I don't like this, man. Put Josh Allen in some bubble wrap because I don't like it at all, man. Send him home. He doesn't need no tutelage, no practice. Send him home in bubble wrap, man. Just get ready for week 1.
I'm telling you, all these dynasty players out there were just, when they saw that Garrett Wilson injury, I guarantee you that once that, Aaron Rodgers news hit, when Rodgers signed with the Jets and when he got went over to the team, all these dynasty owners are just thinking, oh, Garrett Wilson, this is it. And then they see that little injury, everyone starts panicking. I think with Wilson, I saw the injury, I saw the play. I don't think it's going to be super serious. As long as it's not something like a high ankle sprain, which can linger and it can stick around for a while, I think he's going to be fine. If it is something that's a little bit more serious, then that's a wide receiver room that is going to be very, very scarce looking. I don't care who the quarterback is.
Yeah, fair enough, man. But you got Allen Lazard, man, so he's going to have to be the wide receiver 1 once again.
Again, I'm going to say that wide receiver room looks really, really scarce.
You got to love it, man. But, when we're talking about guys that started on the PUP as well, we're sticking with injuries here because, I mean, JT starts on the PUP. Yeah. I know a lot of people are scared of this one because he had that cleanup process, but I think they're managing how they want to, utilize JT this offseason because they know they're going to have to lean on him a lot this year, especially with rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson. I mean, this doesn't concern me at all. He still is my quote-unquote top pick in fantasy football drafts right now. I mean, where are you at with JT? You got him lower than I think I do because I'm all in. JT with a running quarterback like Anthony Richardson, I got him at 1. I'm cool with it.
So you have the 101 and you're taking JT.
Taking JT.
All right. So currently JT and you're gonna
Don't do
slap me
this.
across the face for this one.
Don't do this.
Dude, he's my RB6 right now in half PPR.
It hurts, man. Why? It doesn't have to be this way.
All right, so don't get me wrong. I love the fact that he's got Richardson there. It's going to take a lot of pressure off of JT, with all the options that they're going to be able to run. But again, I do think it's going to hurt JT's touches because of the fact that Richardson has that rushing upside and is going to be, carrying the ball, 8 to 10 times a game probably. So I will say this. I don't know if we see JT get that 20 touches per game like he did last year or even the season before. I think he's going to be closer to like 15 to 16. And where he's not super heavily involved in the passing game, that's certainly going to hurt his performance as well. He's still probably one of my top 3 favorite players in the NFL, but I've got a few guys ahead of him that I would rather take.
So here are my rationale on this, because I'm going to like the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson era when it began in Baltimore. They ran the ball like almost 600 times in one of those seasons, if not multiple seasons, very close to the 600 attempt mark. And here with an Anthony Richardson, he's a developing passer. Is he on... We could probably say they're on roughly the same trend Lamar Jackson was back when he entered the league. But what I'm thinking here is there is no backup plan to, divvy touches up in the backfield. So it basically is going to be JT and Anthony Richardson running the ball. Even if A-Rich does start to take off a lot more, that's okay. It's going to be RPOs for days. And the goal line upside is definitely still going to be there between Richardson and a JT. So even if they split, you're still looking at a 1,250, 10 TD, plus markers for a Jonathan Taylor this season. And for me, fine, PPR upside. Who's going to catch passes? Zach Moss? He ain't catching no passes, man. So maybe JT learned how to catch the passes a little bit better. I don't know. This is the notion I'm going on, man. I like it. I like it too much.
I mean, I hope that I'm wrong. I would love to see JT as a top 2, top 3 fantasy running back because I'm a huge fan. But it's going to be the usage. I want to see, how many times he's actually going to get the ball, because I think that there are certain guys like a CMC, Austin Eckler. Dude, without Kareem Hunt, I am all in on Nick Chubb this season. Absolutely love his position. I know he's also someone that's not heavily used, in the receiving game. That was all Kareem Hunt. But, there, again, few guys there. I could probably move JT up to 4. I wouldn't be mad moving him ahead of guys like Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, but after CMC, Eckler, Chubb, I got to put JT right around there.
See, I'm shaking my head. I'm shaking my head at you because it's disrespectful. Yep. It is disrespectful. Okay, whatever, man. We'll move on from that one because I think that you're undervaluing my guy, and it's fine. That's why we do. We argue.
Technically, he's our guy. I'm just lower on our guy.
Well,
it's like Saquon. Saquon is our guy.
Saquon is where's Saquon for you right now?
He's right behind JT at RB7.
The disrespect on our guys is unbelievable right now. Yeah. But you know what? Kadarius Toney, he goes down with a knee injury. What does he have it scoped? Likely out for training camp. And, I mean, can this man stay healthy? He had the glorious opportunity. No, he cannot. He had the glorious opportunity to be the guy in Kansas City. Now he's out for some time. Jameson Williams with the leg. He's likely out for some time as well. No real update since he went down. And I mean, same with Rashad Bateman. I think he was one of your guys also. He starts now on the PUP list after not starting for the first 2 days because the Liz Frank had some injection in there. I mean, out of these 3 guys, what the hell is going on, man? Who are you trusting out of these 3?
All right, so Jameson Williams, I'm not super concerned about. He's coming off that ACL. He's going to be suspended anyway for a nonsense gambling, policy there. So I'm not worried about him. I think he's going to come back from that suspension. He's going to be healed up. He's going to be fine. Kadarius Toney, I mean, let's be honest. You and I talked about this a couple of years ago when we did the rookie scouting report for him. And that was the biggest concern, was just, could he stay healthy? And so far, no. It didn't matter if he left the Giants and went to the Chiefs. The injuries are still piling up. So Tony's a guy that I'm just kind of out on to begin with. Bateman, though, that's probably, I'm more concerned about Bateman than the other 2, because Bateman is going to be, or needs to be, one of those top receiving targets in Baltimore for Lamar Jackson. So Bateman's probably the biggest concern, just because the upside that he has in fantasy is something that, fantasy owners are going to be relying on, because he's most likely going to be your wide receiver 3. He's going to be more of a depth player, but he's such a boom or bust guy that he could be a game-winning week performance for you.
100%. And I mean, with the signing of OBJ, and they're saying Zay Flowers is just carving up everybody in camp right now. It does scare me, man. We know what the Liz Frank does. I mean, we saw what happened to Julio. He came back fine afterward, but Bateman hasn't really hit the ground running with this Baltimore Ravens team just yet. Right. And it's a concern, man. I'm with you on Jameson. I think he'll be okay. And then Kadarius, we know he can shake people out of a phone booth, but I mean, you got to be in the phone booth to shake people out of it. So right now it's just no bueno. But we got some big contracts that were signed, man. Adam Schefter broke it down with the Chargers signing Justin Herbert to a 5-year, $262.5 million extension through 2029. I believe he got like over $200 million in guarantees, if I'm not mistaken, or very close to it. Jesus, man, and Joe Burrow, he was next in line to get his deal. Where does this rank for you? So when we're talking about a Justin Herbert in the terms, because I'm going to assume that your rankings for quarterbacks is going to be similar to mine in that it's Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Burrow 3. Where's Herbert for you? Unless you got Allen and Burrow swapped. I don't know. Where's Herbert for you?
We're talking redraft here. So we are not that much in alignment here. So my top 3 right now are Hurts, Allen, Mahomes. Right?
Hurts, Allen,
I've
Mahomes.
got Burrow.
Whoa.
I've got Burrow at 5. I've got Herbert at 7.
Okay. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't hate it.
And I think that with Herbert, I mean, he's got the weapons around him. The offense that he has is great. The issue that I have with Herbert, and this is something that we've talked about over the years, is the inconsistency. One game he shows up, one game he disappears, or he disappears in big moments. That was one of the big knocks against him when he was at Oregon, was he just never showed up to the big games. So with Herbert, love the talent, I love the arm strength, I love everything about him, except for the fact that the inconsistency is a little bit of an issue. The one thing with Joe Burrow, the man always shows up game in, game out. That's who he is.
Mr. Clutch, man. Mr. Clutch for sure. And I got him fantasy football rank-wise. I got Herbert down a little bit lower as well. I even got Justin Fields ahead of Herbert at this point because
I do too, yeah.
I think that the passing aptitude for a Fields is definitely going to explode. He's saying 4,000 yards this year. I'm in full agreement. I think he could even hit 4,500 this year. Everybody's dogging him because he had such a crap O-line last year. He didn't have many weapons. You seeing some highlights with DJ Moore already. They're carving stuff up, and you got to love it. But I'm with you. I think Herbert is still one of these top quality quarterbacks who can easily throw 40 touchdowns, 45 touchdowns in this league, especially with the new toy and Quentin Johnston. I think there is ample opportunity, but everybody needs to stay healthy on this Chargers team, including Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, etc. So hopefully they do, and Herbert could, put up. It's not out of the realm of possibility to see Herbert be a top five fantasy quarterback this year whatsoever.
No, absolutely. I mean, like we said, he has the weapons around him on offense to make it all happen. It's just going to be completely up to him of, is that consistency going to be able to come through? Because he's a guy that can absolutely go for 4,500 yards and 25 touchdowns.
Easy money, baby. It's going to be over 30, man. But you're talking our boy Saquon. He gets his deal, $11 million on the 1-year deal. He gets incentives up to $12 million. I've been reading up on some of these running backs, even Josh Jacobs, being a little bit frustrated because, they all sat together, said, how can we, rejuvenate our image as a running back to get more dollars? And then Saquon the next day basically signed his deal. And they're like, dude, he folded. And he's like, dude, what the hell are you doing to us? But I like it, and there was no way, in my opinion, we had discussions on this earlier, too, in that group chat we're in, and, we're talking, I said, I don't foresee Saquon sitting this year. There's no way he's going to go down the Le'Veon Bell path. He was definitely going to play. Whether he's going to stay in New York next year is another argument, but I think Josh Jacobs is a viable sit potentially this entire season, but Barkley was never sitting, and I think, him back at camp showcases the fact that he's ready to go and showcase that, what he's still able to do in this league.
I mean, Saquon not only didn't want to miss a season, he didn't want to miss a practice.
100%.
I mean, he was like, you know what? Franchise tag, $10 million? No, I'm good. Oh, $11 million? Yeah, I'm fine. Let's go. But I think with Saquon, it was just he just wants to play football. I mean, does he want to get paid what he's worth? Of course he is. Is he ever going to? Probably not, because the NFL just devalues running backs more than probably any other position for the most part. And I think the reason for that is because we've seen in so many years past that Super Bowl teams don't necessarily need to have that RB1 stud workhorse kind of a running back. We've seen so many teams win Super Bowls with a committee, with guys that they can kind of just plug and play here and there. But there are certain players that do deserve to get paid because, hell, we've seen guys like Brock Osweiler, the Brinks truck backed up to his house. And, you have guys like Saquon Barkley, who was just like, oh, yeah, we'll give you whatever's left over. So I understand the frustration. I also understand the frustration from the other running backs when they're like, all right, we're going to come together. We're going to be this one big brotherhood, this family. And then Saquon's like, you know what? Nah, I got offered $1 million more.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that.
Yeah, he obviously had some bills to take care of, so he needed that extra milli. But my goodness, I mean,
I don't see him with the Giants next after this season, to be honest with you. I think after this year, he goes off into greener pastures somewhere else and he moves on, because if he really does want to win a ring, he's going to get it as far away from East Rutherford as he possibly can.
Yeah, and it's funny because, as I kind of been digesting all of this running back talk, and I'm with you. I think still the elite running backs should be paid. And I mean, whatever that threshold is, and I get it. With the league, I put a tweet out before saying how the league, it was something of a joke, but how the league values its positional group. So it's quarterbacks first, defensive line edge number 2, defensive backs number 3, and then you're talking, wide receiver, O-line, however you want to split those two. And then you're talking, tight ends. And then like 102 down the rank is running backs where they don't value them. And I think, based on the fact of how you're going to be able to pay these gentlemen money and continue to pay your quarterbacks and pay the defensive edges and the defensive backs who cover the quarterbacks, like, this is the problem now. The game has changed into that passing league. But like I said, 10 teams last year got over 500 carries. And that's better than the past 3 years where we saw 4 and 3 respectively year over year. That's a lot of carries. So teams are starting to go back into the mold of running the football a little bit more, whether it be with their quarterback or their, split backfield or their, primary running back. It doesn't matter. They're still going up as a team into that 500 plus, attempts rushing mark. And that tells me there's a little bit of shift happening here in the NFL where a lot of teams are playing that nickel base. So now you're trying to take advantage with, no extra linebacker to stuff the run. So it's extra opportunity for these backs to, make some headway. We might see a little bit of a change where running backs in the next couple of years, maybe they say, yeah, the value is going up a little bit higher for these elite guys.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. If we're going to point the blame at anyone, it's Danny Penny's. This is his fault. And the reason why is because if you look at somebody like Tom Brady, who took so many pay cuts over the years, there was all that back end money. So he eventually still got paid, but kept taking less and less money to restructure his contract so that they could work out deals for other players. Danny Dimes just got a bag and he's like, you know what? I'm going to keep all of that. And Saquon, you can go fend for yourself. So Danny Pennies, this is your fault, sir.
Your fault, Danny Pennies. And I've been trying not to be disrespectful because he looked like Danny Dimes at times last year. But shoot, man.
No, he looked fine last year.
He looked great last year. But, I mean, I'm going to credit Brian Dable with that maturation in his game. So we are blaming Danny Pennies for the lack of Saquon money.
I will say this, though. Danny Pennies in 2023 will be a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
Ooh, and I don't think it's a hot take. I really don't, man, especially with Darren Waller.
I don't think it's that hot.
No, it's not.
Dude, Darren Waller is going to be just fine.
You see they had to take Darren Waller off the field because he just kept feeding him the ball because he was open all over the field. The Giants, they're like, hey, Darren, you got to get off. Danny's got to throw to somebody else on the field. But it's too funny.
You remember last season, it was like week 1, and Darren Waller had something stupid like 15 plus targets. That's going to be him every game for the Giants this year.
His ADP is a steal right now compared to the quality target share you're going to definitely get from him, man. But speaking of tight ends, we got Cole Kmet from the Chicago Bears. He signs a 4-year, $50 million extension, and I'm like, what are you smoking in Chicago, man? I thought weed was illegal over there, but why are you doing this? I mean, okay, is he a good tight end? Sure. Is he a great elite tight end? No. And I can't fathom this. You need a tight end, you need a quality guy, but really for $50 million over 4 years, I don't see it.
I mean, all right, so I understand the athleticism that Kmet has. Like,
sure.
He's a big body guy. Sure, absolutely. Don't get me wrong there. He's been in the league for, he's going into his 3rd or 4th year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's had maybe over 500 receiving yards in a season. and granted, don't get me wrong, I Matt Nagy completely just destroyed that offense for a few years. So maybe something's going to change now where there's, a legit number one receiver that wants to be there. Sorry, Allen Robinson, but we all know you didn't want to be there last year. But I think that now where they have DJ Moore, they have the running game. Fields is coming into his own. They have an offensive, they have an offensive minded team that really is starting to get it. But $50 million for Cole Kmet just seems a bit. It's like they were just reaching because they didn't think that they could get anybody else. So like, we're going to give you this contract and just hope it works out.
100%. I don't know where the ceiling is for Cole Kmet. I think that's my biggest, conundrum at this point is he's talented, no question. He's definitely a mismatch. He's got ability. Red zone upside is definitely there. But you're talking about somebody who's unproven, and you're saying, here, I'm just going to shell out the dollars for you. Okay, Chicago, I know you guys got cap space, but you can utilize that a little bit better than going Cole Kmet for 50. But hey, I'm not the GM of the Chicago Bears.
I mean, I'll put it this way. Right now in ADP, he's going in the same area, if not sooner, than guys that I would take 100 times or more than him. For example, Okonkwo going right around that mid 11th round. Greg Dulcich, your boy Dalton Kincaid.
Yep.
Like, I would take all those guys before I take Cole Kmet. Hell, even give me Gerald Everett over Cole Kmet.
100%, man. Yeah. You throw in Dalton Kincaid, I'm getting higher and higher on this mofo every day. I think, and it's not just because I'm a Bills fan. This guy is going to be a baller day one. I mean, okay, 1,000 yards, likely not, but you're going to see Dalton Kincaid be a very good fantasy tight end this year.
Is Dalton Kincaid, is he a low end tight end one this year? Is he close to breaking top 12?
I think after week 5, I think he will definitely be in that realm, 100%.
All right, I'm asking because I think I currently have him as my tight end 17, and like every few weeks as I'm updating my rankings, he's like just creeping up higher and higher. So I'm like, I don't want to get him too close, but like he'll definitely be inside the top 15 by the time this week 1 starts for me, I think.
And that's fair. Top 15 for ADP is completely fair, but I think he'll hover around that for sure, man. Like 8 touchdowns is not out of the question this year, I don't think, in this offense.
No, I completely agree. I think that I don't want to say that he's like the missing piece to this offense, but I think he's just going to help elevate the Bills' offense even more because of that athleticism, because of that pass catching ability. I mean, from everything I've heard out of that camp, they are just raving about Kincaid.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. My pants are wet already. I gotta go change them. We just started camp already. My goodness. So shifting gears over to Dalvin Cook, because this SOB, man, why is everyone coming to my division? Like, come on. He's going to the New York Jets. He's got a visit scheduled, and apparently word on the street is they're not going to allow Dalvin to leave the building, so rumor has it he's going to be signing this deal as early as Saturday, if not Friday evening. I mean, Dalvin Cook to the New York Jets, they're building a dream team, apparently. I don't like it, man. I really don't. This just complicates things for the Bills to win the division and eventually win the Super Bowl. Stop it, man. I don't like it.
I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and say dream team, because remember when Chip Kelly and the Eagles tried doing that years ago? How did that work out?
True.
So I will say this. It doesn't surprise me that they're going out and they're trying to sign another running back, because we know that Robert Saleh wants a running back by committee, right? Breece Hall still coming off that injury. He's not going to be 100%. He may not even look like his normal self until 2024. He might just kind of be a shell of himself for the first half of this season. So bringing in Dalvin Cook isn't a big surprise. I don't love it for Breece Hall this season. But to be fair, that's going to be one hell of a running back dynamic that they have there for the Jets between Hall and Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin Cook is coming off of a season right now where, 27, 28 years old, still rushed for over 1,100 yards. This is a guy who's not quite there as far as, he's not at that age where running backs start to decline. This is a guy who just continues to produce year in and year out. And I think that Cook's got another year or two left in him before we start to see that little bit of decline there. But if they can get him, they're going to be A-okay. Now, as far as dream team, maybe not, but I will say this, they're going to be And I also think that doesn't help that they're in the AFC East, because the AFC East is now such a competitive division where for years, I mean, for hell, 20 years, it was the New England Patriots, and then there was everybody else. Now, you know, the Bills are 1A, and then you have teams like the Dolphins, the Jets. The Patriots are still kind of the bottom feeders as far as I'm concerned in that division right now, because
100%.
I think that the Jets are still, they have that young talent. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be between the Jets and the Dolphins, in my opinion, of who's going to be fighting for that wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it on the last podcast I did with the other guest, but I mean, it's the situation with Breece Hall. So this gives them the ample ability to allow Breece to rest. They don't have to rush him back if they sign a Dalvin Cook, which is a positive for them. Dalvin is still, in my opinion, one of the elite running backs in this league, and I don't think anybody can really question that. There was no fall off in Minnesota. It was more scheme-based. They didn't necessarily utilize Dalvin Cook to the top-end abilities that we've seen in the past. Okay, fine, and that's just the way that they wanted to move forward. Now I do believe Minnesota is going to be more pass happy, hence why they drafted a guy like Addison. KJ Osborne is on the ups, so I just think there wasn't enough balls to go around to keep a Dalvin Cook happy. And you're talking in New York as well. Fine, you got Garrett Wilson with an Aaron Rodgers. You're going to lean upon a ground game. Give Aaron Rodgers a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just keeping him upright a little bit more, I guess, where he doesn't have to be the one solely relied upon to gain yards and push this offense down the field. This is just going to add so much more dynamic. And then when Breece Hall does come back, whether it be, who knows, week 4, week 6, week 8, who knows? Now all of a sudden you can nurse him along back. You don't need him. And then if a playoff run does come, say Dalvin goes down with an injury, now you got a healthy Breece Hall to keep the train going. I understand the rationale and why they're doing it, and as for fantasy football, it's just going to complicate things, I think, as the season goes on. But early on, Dalvin, within the first 5-6 weeks, he should be an absolute gem in this offense.
Yeah, and I mean, from Dalvin Cook, we can probably expect him to miss a few games.
Sure.
Throughout his career, he's always missed 2 or 3 games per season, and that's kind of where we saw Alexander Mattison thrive. The last couple of years when those injuries have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with somebody like Cook going to the Jets, it certainly is going to help Breece Hall, his recovery, so that, like you said, they don't have to rush him back. But it also takes a lot of that wear and tear off of somebody like Dalvin Cook, who won't have to carry that heavy workload throughout the season like he'd been used to throughout his career in Minnesota.
They're going to be a damn tough team to stop. I mean, with the defense the way they are, and it's going to be a very difficult squad in New York, especially if Dalvin does sign. I'm not liking it, man. I'm not liking it whatsoever as a Bills fan, but we're switching gears to another running back. Antonio Gibson, more fantasy football. I mean, kind of way we're going with this one. He's fallen off a lot of people's radar, but we're talking, how Eric Bieniemy now is there. My guy Sam Howell. The way this offense may be, they might lean upon both these running backs in Brian Robinson, the B-Rob, and then Gibby could take on that McKissick role like we all kind of hoped he would, because under the last regime, they didn't utilize him in the pass game whatsoever. Gibby's a former wide receiver, damn it. Use him in the pass game. Get him in the open field. This is just going to open up everything more for these wide receivers in Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson. I mean, if Eric Bieniemy is going to be utilizing Gibby this way, I think his fantasy stock is increasing, should increase, I should say it that way, and he could be quite a big gem flex opportunity player for us this season.
I think that both Gibson and Robinson have top 30 fantasy football, potential right now. I think it's not out of the question to see both of these guys eat, especially with the different roles that they could play. I was shocked to see when Gibson, went from receiver to running back, that he wasn't used more as a receiver. Yes, they did have McKissick for those years, and he was used more in that passing down role. But Gibson is a former wide receiver, so why not use him in that capacity? I think now, like you said, with Eric Bieniemy now at the helm, we're going to see a little bit more of a dynamic offense with this Washington football team, or both Commanders now, but still the football team. I love the Sam Howell call because someone that I was super high on as well. So I'm excited to see what this team can do. But with Antonio Gibson, I may have been a little bit higher than maybe I should have been, but I also was under the assumption that he would be used the way that we all wanted him to be used, and being more of that receiving down back. So I'm really hoping that that's kind of what we see now. But high end RB3, low end RB2 for me for Antonio Gibson.
100%. And I think the way Sam Howell's already progressing, I would not be shocked if by week 2 of the preseason, he's going to be given the reins to be the starting quarterback because he looks damn good already. New regime now in the ownership group as well, so complete culture change here in Washington. Here, and they might change the name from the Commanders, the Commies, next season, but it comes with positivity, and I think Eric Bieniemy is just going to open up this offense that much more, kind of similarly to the Chiefs. Is it going to be exactly the same? No, because they don't have Patrick Mahomes, but you're going to see a very dynamic offensive power that's going to be installed here. I think Sam Howell's the guy that can get it done because he is very accurate, and even if Gibson is the change of pace PPR back, good Lord, where's his ADP at right now? It's got to be dipped way down there, and he's going to be an absolute gem.
Yeah, both Gibson and Robinson actually right now are going middle of the 9th round. See? Both of them.
Perfect. I love it. Wink, wink. Get on the bandwagon. Either one of them, I'm with you. I think they're both going to be very good in this offense for sure, man.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see it because, we saw what Bieniemy did in Kansas City, and like you said, Howell's no Patrick Mahomes, of course. We're not going to make that comparison any time of the day, but you bring a new OC in, you have the talent that, this personnel that he actually can work with, which, former regimes weren't able to really do that and make everything click. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. Magic Johnson's already come out, like you said, potentially maybe changing the team name. I say just go back to the Washington football team. It was simple. It was clean. It was fine.
Done.
Enough of this Commanders nonsense.
No more commies. Commies! It's not good. We don't like it, man. Speaking of other running backs, Rashad Penny. It's interesting. Everyone, okay, here's the thing. It's easy to get excited about players in training camp. I understand. I'm with you. I'm a fan in a lot of sense as well. But when you got to take the fan hat off and look at it completely unbiased, Rashad Penny is receiving first-team offensive reps, the first day of training camp, and everyone's like, see, I told you he's going to be the guy. Okay, he's a Band-Aid, number one. He's never proven to be healthy. That's the biggest thing. Is he explosive? 110%. Nobody's going to argue that. He's a great running back. But when you got a guy like DeAndre Swift, I mean, you're talking about having a Ferrari with, a BMW. That's kind of how I see it right now. And for me, okay, Swift he has injury problems of his own. He's a Band-Aid and stretch as well. So I understand where the argument does lie in this to say, who the hell can we trust in this backfield in Philadelphia who is going to be run heavy like they continued last year? I'm still going towards the DeAndre Swift bandwagon over Penny, even if, say, just for argument's sake, they both play the entire season unscathed and healthy, I'm siding with DeAndre Swift. Where are you going with this one?
Oh, I'm going with Swift all day, and I know everyone's they're getting super excited over Penny because of the way that he finished the 2021 season, where he had those few games where he just went completely off, but Penny has his own injury concerns, I mean, 2 of the last 3 seasons, he hasn't played more than 5 games. So for me, it's Swift. I mean, you're going to take that talent. You're going to take that guy that can just, like you said, almost like that Ferrari. I'm taking DeAndre Swift. For me, and I understand a lot of it is fantasy football Twitter that's getting so excited about Penny, but I don't think it's a no-brainer for me as far as, Swift versus Penny.
100%, man. You're talking elite running back potential to, explosive, maybe, 200 carries a season. I just can't see how the argument together, they can be absolutely dynamic and be a great duo, but I'm taking Swift, man. Just stay healthy, Swift, and you can prove us right. That's all we got to say.
Yeah, no, 100%. Stay healthy. We'll be fine because Penny, both of you guys just need to stay healthy.
That's it, man. I don't know what you got to do, man. Pop some more vitamins. Stay off the PEDs. I guess that's the problem. But anyway, moving to quarterbacks because we got a good one. Frank Reich has officially named Bryce Young the starting quarterback. It's earlier than I expected. I thought he was going to allow it to, play out just a little bit for Andy Dalton's sake, but he was like, no, I've seen enough. Nope. He's dishing dimes all over the field. He looks good. I mean, for a guy who's bite-sized out there on the field as a quarterback, we know the talent Bryce Young does have, and he's showing it. And I think, with guys like DJ Chark and Adam Thielen, I think people are sleeping way too hard on these two gentlemen because I think there's good late round value, especially in deeper leagues. If you're in 14-team leagues, you best be, targeting somebody like an Adam Thielen and then to a lesser extent DJ Chark, because there is playmaking ability for days. And I'm kind of falling off the Terrace Marshall bandwagon at this point. If he proves me wrong, then fine, I'll jump back on. But I'm going with the trusty veterans over, a Marshall who hasn't done anything for a rookie quarterback who's going to require safety blankets.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are guys that you can get in the 12th round or later, So, I mean, that's great value. Guys that you can stash on your bench, fill in if you need for an injury. Now, we mentioned, you're kind of off Marshall. Are you giving Jonathan Mingo a look?
Not this year. I think I'm gonna wait. He's a taxi guy for me in Dynasty. I think I'm gonna wait and see for it. He may be a waiver wire priority halfway through the season because he's gonna be he's a good talent. I don't see his fit right now. I think they want to build the chemistry and build the confidence of a Bryce Young with the veteran wide receiver core before they start unleashing a Mingo. But Mingo definitely has a lot of potential, and I think he will be a fixture in this offense in the future.
Yeah, and I think as long as Thielen can stay healthy, because I know he's had his injury concerns over the past few years, if he can stay healthy, then that's the guy that's almost going to be like that binky, that safety blanket that Bryce Young is going to be relying on.
The binky. You bring up the binky, man. That was his favorite. The binky. The lovely binky. He loves it, man. Keeping with wide receivers.
Usually I save it for tight ends, but
yeah.
Thielen he's old enough now where I can use that term.
I agree. Yeah. He's going to be a good binky for him for sure, but keeping with wide receivers, I was super happy to see John Mechie cleared. He was practicing, off the cancer, looking healthy. Yes, I love it. It's the same type of situation we're talking about Bryce Young with C.J. Stroud now in Houston. Man, you give this Houston Texans team 2 years, and I'm telling y'all, they're going to be something to be reckoned with. You got the Bobby Trees effect, but I think, the Mechie, to a lesser extent, Nico Collins. I'm not in on Nico, really. Are you still on Nico? Because I'm kind of falling. I want to be in. I can't seem to get myself in on Nico Collins.
I'm not. I'm also just kind of taking it in right now that you just said 2 years with the Houston Texans and also mentioned Bobby Trees in that same sentence. Do you think Bobby Trees is going to be playing for another 2 years?
No. I think Bobby Trees is going to be out, but
okay.
I think who they have on this roster with Mechie and then Hutchinson, Nico Collins, I think this is going to be a very nice offense. Tank Dell, I even didn't bring up his name. You got a lot of nice talent on this offense. And C.J. Stroud, to me, I mean, as good as Bryce Young is going to be, Stroud will definitely challenge for that Rookie of the Year, especially in Houston with this new offensive scheme, new defense. I like this squad a lot. Houston Texans fans should be very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for Mechie out of that entire receiving group. I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Yeah, man, Alabama product. He's so good. How about Elijah Moore? Because we don't talk enough about Elijah Moore these days. He just cooked Denzel Ward on 7-on-7 red zone drills today. He even slipped and still came down with the ball. Looked nice. Okay, and with Deshaun Watson, I get it. Okay, is he going to get back to his play that we saw in the past? This is the debate that we need to have. But I think that in this offense, I do believe that Elijah Moore is going to be one of these guys that everyone's going to say, I wish I would have picked him in fantasy because it's just so we just don't know what it's going to be. I'm starting every single day now, starting to get a little bit more warm and fuzzy on the man because I think he's going to be a great flex player for everybody.
I mean, where he's going right now in drafts, I mean, he's 11th round at this point, right? So there are guys that are going right around that same time that I would absolutely love to have, I'd love to have Elijah Moore instead of these guys, such as a Tyler Boyd, a Sky Moore. Yeah, give me Elijah Moore. He's going to be that wide receiver too, lined up opposite of Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson, now, who's got a year under his belt in this Cleveland Brown offense. More, I think we're going to see in this Browns offense the player that we wanted to see with the Jets because he just didn't get that opportunity. He just was pretty much almost like cast away in that offense for the Jets. I think now in a new setting, new surroundings, I think we're going to start to see that flashy player that we were hoping to see then. I think we're going to see that with Deshaun Watson.
I really do believe it. And the way that I'm starting to see it right now, he's explosive. He's always had hands. He's just put him in a slot and let him do the business. You got a massive run game to support it. Play action pass is going to be nice. I mean, I'm excited. I think I think he could be one of the bigger steals at the wide receiver spot.
I completely agree. I mean, you get him in double-digit rounds. He's going to be a flex player. You can move him in and out if you need to, but it's not like you're going to be spending a high draft capital. You're not going to take a big risk to get him. It's just going to be like the cherry on top.
Cherry on top on the cake. You got to love it. What about your boy, Slant Boy? Are you back in on Slant Boy, or are you saying, I'm done with Slant Boy? Michael Thomas, for you guys that don't know who Slant Boy is, but he's got the cape. He's looking good. He's looking sharp with my guy Chris Olave, and then Derek Carr. I mean, everything's pointing to potential resurrection.
All right, so I want to, but I don't, because I don't hate where I would draft him. Like if I get him in the 10th round where he's going currently, I'm perfectly fine with that, because like Elijah Moore, low risk, right? Like you're not taking that big of a chance there, and we know what he can do. I mean, that man can just run that 5-yard slant and just get receptions for days. My concern is the offense around him, which scares the crap out of me.
You're not sold on Derek Carr at all?
I'm not. So I like Derek Carr as a person. I'm not a big fan of him as a quarterback, and I'm not as high on him as other people will be. But I will stay with Michael Thomas. He's a value right now, where he's currently going in drafts. So I don't think it's a bad move. Don't get me wrong. But the guy hasn't played in a couple of years, Yeah, he had some really good videos in the gym. Don't get me wrong. But I think I'm out.
I had to bring it up, man, because he's been struggling with Slant Boy for so long.
It's been so long.
Just get back on the damn field. He crippled some of his fantasy teams.
It's one of those things where like there's certain players that you're just all in on.
Totally.
And then you won't quit on them. Like, for instance, Josh Gordon. I don't care how many times that man got suspended. I was going to ride with him until the end. And finally, I learned, certain players, you have to just cut your losses. Michael Thomas is one of those guys for me.
Gordon is still probably on one of your squads right now, sitting on the bench collecting dust.
Too soon.
Sorry, man. There's tissues over there in the corner, man, if you need to wipe your eyes. But we're going to talk about a guy that, I know you're super high on, and it's Kyle Pitts. Yeah. I have a problem. I got some problems with you people. There
are doctors that can help you with that.
There are. I medication. It does help. This one's a big problem for me because he's still because he's still not fully recovered. And you see Drake saying, Kyle Pitts, he's on his way getting back to full health, and it's like, well, fine. But in this offense, okay, I like the way the Falcons are building, but for where you're drafting a Kyle Pitts, I just don't think the ROI is justifiable. I don't think that it's going to give you the best return back this year. And we did the scouting report on a Desmond Ridder as well. We like the kid. Is he ever going to be, the guy that we think he's going to be, or just this kind of Ryan Tannehill type of player? It's very difficult for me to trust in this offense. I mean, even to, Matt Ryan, I would be, 2 years ago, Matt Ryan, I would still be very happy and satisfied to say, I'm preaching up Kyle Pitts, even coming off an injury. It just with this offense, with Ridder, with Bijan, knowing that he's going to be basically the workhorse, you're really taking Kyle Pitts this high? Because I really struggled with it this year.
No, I mean, for this season, I'm 100% with you. Right now, I've got Pitts as my tight end 7.
Okay.
I would take Darren Waller a few picks later over Kyle Pitts this year.
Okay, then we're on the same page, and there's no problem.
If we're talking this season, if we're talking this season alone, 100%, I would take a handful of guys over Kyle Pitts.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to get that out there because I know he's your boy, and this guy always gets angry with me when I dog Kyle Pitts. But this is the year we're going to dog him a little bit.
This is your show, so I can't say anything about any Kyle Pitts slander.
You can say whatever you want. It's open season here, man. There's nothing to hold you back.
That's right. One of these shows, there will be an airing of grievances. Don't you worry.
I got some problems with you people. We do it all the time. But, we're bringing back old school times, man. We're going to be playing a little Dynasty Games. For you guys that don't know, me and Chris compare players in Dynasty. Who do we want more? It was a fan favorite on our old podcast, and I think it's going to be one for you guys as well. Let's start with quarterbacks. We got C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Where are you going, man? This is a tough one. The rookies. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take Bryce Young right now. I've got him a few spots higher than C.J. Stroud. It's not that far, of a difference right now, but I like the overall composition of what Carolina is doing on offense and how they're going to continue to build around him. So for me, it's going to be Young.
I'm going CJ Stroud. Like I said, I can't go away from my Houston Texan love right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love it. I love what they're doing in Houston. And mark my words, if they continue down this path, I think they're going to be a damn good team.
I can't fault you for that. I'm not as high on Houston just because I mean they've just been an absolute just mess for so long, and I hope they do turn it around. So for that reason, just for history's purposes, I'm knocking them down a little bit.
Fair enough. Hey man, you're entitled to your opinion, even though it may be wrong. Just playing anyway. Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Do the right thing.
Josh Allen.
Thank you.
Josh Allen.
Do the right.
Yeah, I'm not even I'm a Patriots fan. I'm going to say Josh Allen every day.
Perfect. Yeah, you heard that Patriots fan over there. Boo. Boo. I'm okay, but whatever.
Sorry.
But Josh Allen, see, he did the right thing. I like what he does. Hurts or Fields?
Give me Hurts. Really? Absolutely. Because not only do I think is Hurts, I mean, the way that this Philadelphia Eagles offense is built around him, he is set up for success for X number of years. I mean, just years going forward. Fields the Bears still have a lot of work to do to really get him to, I think, to where he could be. So for me, the next 3 to 5 years, it's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I can't argue. It's gonna get closer though in the next year or two.
It will. I think it will because
right?
When we did the scouting report on Fields, I mean, his passing ability is so underrated. You know, it was that crappy offensive line that he had to start his, the first year or two of his career. He's going to get much better. Hurts just really made that big leap, from rookie to sophomore season as far as passing was concerned. I think the immediate future is really geared more towards Hurts.
I agree. I think the way the Eagles, even the way they draft Howie Roseman, you got to horseshoe up his culo because Jesus man, how you get so lucky with all those picks, but nevertheless, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert?
I have them back to back.
Pick one.
I have Lawrence and then I have Herbert.
Pick one.
I'm going Lawrence. I'm going Lawrence because I loved what I saw from him last season. Yes, his stats were a little skewed because he had a lot of just huge boom games, but he's finally being that number one overall quarterback that we all knew that he was when he got drafted. And so now with, Calvin Ridley coming back, the new additions they have around him, love me some T-Law.
I love it too. And, with Herbert, I love Herbie too. This. I mean, I've been supportive of him ever since he came in the league, even going back to Oregon days. But you see, just something about the offense. I think maybe until they get rid of the coach, his name evades me right now, the head coach. Until they get rid of him, I mean, yes, they got Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, so we should see a bump up in better offensive productivity. But I got to go with Trevor Lawrence as well. I think that the Jaguars are absolutely set up for success, and Doug Peterson just knows how to coach up these young quarterbacks.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, Urban Meyer was the worst thing that could have happened to Trevor Lawrence.
Stunted
his rookie season, I'm just going to say it never happened.
Correct. It stunted his growth like nobody's business. Running back time, this is going to be tough because I got some goodies, man. Some goodies. JT or Barkley?
JT.
Wow. No thought process, whatever.
I didn't even have to think about it. Wow. It's JT. JT is a top 3 dynasty running back for me. I love me some Saquon. He's probably my favorite players in the NFL in no specific order would be JT, Saquon Barkley. Those are my top 2 right there. Those are my guys.
Wow.
So it's tough to have to compare the 2, but give me JT because for me, and you know this, when I'm building dynasty teams and rosters, I love to go with that younger player, especially when the skill set is so similar. Barkley's a much better receiving back, but the 2 of them are just It's tough to split hairs, but JT's the guy.
It's sad to say. I thought, you'd at least pause, but it is JT for me as well. I love Barkley, but you don't know where the hell he's going to play next year either, and it's going to complicate things. Bijan or Breece Hall?
Again, back-to-back, but it's Bijan. Bijan for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Breece Hall, it's the one that worries me with Hall is his situation with the Jets, because I don't think that Robert Saleh is going to commit to him getting the touches that he needs to really kind of be that top 3, top 4 running back. I do think that he really wants to build more of a committee, and that scares me for his usage. Whereas in Atlanta, they don't give a crap about any of that stuff. They're just going to run Bijan into the ground if they need to.
100%. And the only thing I'll argue on that with Brees, if it is him and Michael Carter and there's no Dalvin Cook involved, if it is Brees Hall and say someone like Abanikanda, I understand, spelling him, but I still think 250 touches, even closer to 280. But this injury really does pull you back to why your argument does have validity in saying why Salah is saying, I got a hedge bet. Because we had an opportunity, and Brees Hall was setting the league ablaze last year. His boom consistency rate was rivaling that of CMC last year. Like, I believe CMC had 88%, where Brees Hall was 86%. Like, that's how good Brees Hall was before he went down with his injury. So, I mean, I got to go with Bijan. We've been huge Bijan supporters forever, and I think he's just – the LaDainian Tomlinson basically said the comp for him is exactly right. So how can you go against what LaDainian's saying?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I do think that if, let's say, Dalvin Cook does sign with the Jets, it's going to be a 1 to 2 year thing that he's actually with the team. So it's not going to affect his long-term, production. I think, obviously, Brees Hall is still going to be the guy there. But I do want to see how he performs when he's 100% coming back from this injury, because we only really got to see him 100% with this team for a handful of weeks.
100%. I'm with you. I think that the injury definitely scared them off, and they're looking to, add some more talent for sure, man. Your boy Ramondre Stevenson or Najee Harris? Oh, this is a good one.
Oh, Stevenson.
Oh, of course. Patriot lover.
It's Steven.
Patriot
and
lover.
I will say this. Taking my Patriots fan cap off, for the moment.
Bull, man. This is full Patriot love right now. Bias.
I've got the hats back on. So the amount of production that Stevenson does in the receiving game is really what sets it apart for me. I mean, the fact that this guy can get 8 to 10 targets in a game, and he can do it, with his legs and be that first and second down running back. He has top 10 dynasty running back just written all over him because of the way that this offense loves to use and utilize their running backs. Yes, they like to use a committee, but they haven't really made any moves that worry me as far as who's going to take touches away from Stevenson.
I'm with you. I'm right there. Dre is my guy. I've been promoting him all off season.
You were on him before I was.
Yeah, man.
I was more of a Damian Harris guy.
That's
and
right.
You were all about Ramondre. So.
That's right. And I mean, what did I say? Big man with light feet that can catch. Sign me up, man. It's fantasy football glory. Najee I don't know. He lost some juice last year. I want to see the speed kicked up for Najee for me to get fully back on board, but it's Dre for me. Dre Day, and I think it's a good thing, man. We got a little Kenny Walker III or Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, give me Gibbs. Give me Gibby.
Oh.
Dude, I think that, and granted, Detroit usually doesn't know how to utilize their running backs, but I love the comp of, Gibbs kind of being that Austin Eckler type, the fact that he's going to be used more in the running in the receiving game. I love the potential of Gibbs. I think that a lot of people, I don't want to say they're undervaluing Gibbs, but I think I'm just higher on him than a lot of other people might be.
Interesting. I love Gibbs. I think he's a supreme talent. He's going to showcase it. Like an Alvin Kamara, maybe even better. I'm going to side with Kenny Walker right now. It's a slight edge. I'm just going to go with Kenny. I hate the fact that they got Charbonnet, to back him up. Pete Carroll, you killing me, man. But Kenny Walker, I'm just going to side him just a little bit, but Gibby is definitely going to be one of these guys, top 8 running back in the league potentially for fantasy all day long, man. DeAndre Swift or James Cook? This is interesting.
Oh. I'm going DeAndre Swift. I'm going Swift because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what Cook's future is really going to be because hell, is Cook even going to be the RB1? Probably not.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so I just think that with the Bills, because they have so much other talent at the running back position right now, I don't know what the touches are going to look like for me. So I think that with Swift, we have an idea of what that role is going to look like, and at least for the foreseeable future, I'm going to put it that way. Hell, he might not even be with Philadelphia in the next 3 years. So, but I like Swift. I like the talent there. Cook, it's more of an unknown for me.
It's the truth. And because it's his job to lose. They're going to give him the first opportunity to win it and keep it, but it's definitely his job to lose. He's very versatile. I might swing for the fences, even though I love myself some DeAndre Swift. If I want that risky upside, I'll go with Cook. But other than that, I'm going to side with Swift in this debate. Wide receiver time. We got JJ versus Chase. We got to go with the big dogs. Where are you going?
Really? Good gosh,
we
man.
got to go the big dogs first, man.
I know. Give me JJ. It's 1A, 1B, and it's like the slimmest of hairs as far as I'm concerned.
100%. And I'm going JJ too, even though Chase is just the same as they're the exact same player, but I'm going to go JJ.
Yeah.
It's the same. Diggs or Devontae? Devontae Adams.
Oh, give me Diggs.
Damn rights give you Diggs.
Come on.
No faith in Jimmy G.
I don't even have any analysis to just back it up. All I have to say is Diggs.
Just got to say Diggs and move on. So, CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown? Frick.
CeeDee Lamb, but it's super close. It's like CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. They're all clumped together for me.
Yeah. I'm with you. CeeDee Lamb is my guy. Again, one of these dudes I'm pushing. AJ Brown is going to get his 1,000 yards again. No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
I just think the upside with Dallas and Lamb this year, especially with a guy like Brandon Cooks pulling coverage, and this could be the standard for the next 3 years. Give me CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and give me the 2-year age difference. The Lamb's a couple years younger. I'll take that.
100%. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Chris Olave? Be right, do right, right.
I literally have them. I have them wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8. I have Amon-Ra over Olave.
No, you cannot. This is no good.
It's one spot.
It's bueno. I don't like it. You're not on the show anymore. Get out, sir. Get out. You're not invited.
It's like you're
anymore.
reading my rankings. They're so freaking close.
This is one mind. This is how we always do
Seriously.
the shows. I'm going CO2, man. I've been preaching Chris Olave. I think big play Lave. He's going to be the guy. It's a tough one, man.
I'm excited for him this year.
So am I. Garrett Wilson or Jalen Waddle time. What are we doing?
Garrett Wilson for me. And it's close. I've got Wilson just a couple spots ahead of Jalen Waddle. But, if we're going the next 3 years, it's Garrett Wilson. If we're going the next 5 to 7, I'm going to give the longevity to Waddle because who knows whose quarterback is going to be for the Jets.
And that's what I was just going to say, man. If Aaron Rodgers not on the team, we're going Waddle.
Yeah.
Okay,
100%.
fair enough. And quarterback it tells the tale of who's going to pass the ball, so you got to give the edge somewhere. DJ Moore or Scary Terry? This one got a little more interesting.
This sucks because I love me some DJ Moore.
Oh, you do. You love
I'm like
man crush.
I'm going DJ Moore. I really am so excited to see the dynamic between Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin. But my fanhood and my love for DJ Moore wants to give him that edge there. But let's not be surprised if Terry McLaurin just finally breaks out and just absolutely demolishes numbers this year with Sam Howell.
Yeah, and I think what I was talking with some buddies and I said I think I'm a little too low on DJ Moore, and I
think a lot of people are
right. Yeah. And it was justified based on how it ended in Carolina, but now with Justin Fields, I think that you really have to pause and reset a little bit to see where this is. But I think DJ Moore could be that much better this year for sure.
It's gonna be depending on the targets. Is he gonna get those 120, 130 targets?
And it's very possible, 100%. Quickly, let's do these tight ends, man. Kyle Pitts or Dalton Kincaid?
The hell? What? Kyle Pitts.
You see how I threw that one in there? That was.
You think I'm gonna go away from
that? Was fandom. That was fandom. I get it, man. Kyle Pitts right now, but next year we could be having a different conversation. Let's just say that.
I do have Kincaid as my tight end 7, I think. Right
sure,
now,
fair enough. I was just being facetious here because I just had to throw it in there. But Darren Waller or Dallas Goedert?
Oh, Dallas, give me Goedert.
Goedert, really? Wow.
Yeah,
I'm a little shocked.
I've always been a huge fan of him. Don't get me wrong, love Waller, but I'm gonna take the little bit of youth that Goedert has.
Okay, fair enough, man. Last one I got: Evan Ingram or Pat Freiermuth? The Muth.
I got to go with Ingram. Jacksonville and Lawrence has rejuvenated Evan Ingram. So give me Ingram.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love me some Evan Ingram, and I don't know, but I'm a Kenny Pickett, wanting to be a supporter. So I believe in small hands Pickett. I think that he could actually, really support this offense, and Pat Freiermuth could be a big part of that.
I hope so.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, but that was fun. That was good, man. I'm so happy to have you on, man. We got to do this again. What the hell?
we'll see. My semi-retirement. We'll see how the schedule shakes out. But no, this was an absolute blast. This was a great trip down memory lane, and I mean, we chat all the time, but it's nice to actually get on a pod and a video together to actually do it all officially. So it's perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries, man. Always welcome. The door is always open for this guy. Drop it in the comments. Tell him to unretire permanently so we can get him back on the show all the time. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments. Give us your thoughts. What do you guys think about any of these topics? Throw them in the comments. Dynasty games. Reply to some Dynasty games. You think we're wrong? Who's your players you covet the most? But we'll see you next time. I am out.